I request all the participants to mute yourself. A warm welcome once again to everyone gathered here. On behalf of Panivalar Institute of Technology, it's indeed my great privilege to welcome you all for the Day 3 Session 2, Medical Imaging Realization Hardware Approach, Magnetic Resonance Imaging and 3D Imaging. Here with we have our resource person, Dr. T. Jayananthan, founder, Tesla Minds. It's indeed my great privilege.
Sorry for the interruption, sir. Your mic has been muted, I think so.
Mithresh, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Yeah, Mithresh, when it was muted?
While he was welcoming the speaker, sir.
Okay, sorry for the inconvenience. Welcome, sir. Welcome once again on behalf of Panivalar Institute of Technology. It's indeed my great privilege to introduce our today's speaker, Mr. T. Jayananthan, CEO, Tesla Minds, to this August gathering. Mr. T. Jayananthan has completed his ME Communication System from Sairam Engineering College, and he has completed his BE from Lord Venkateswara Engineering College. His area of expertise includes microstrip antennas, RF filter, and entrepreneurship. He has got a rich work experience in ADS software consultant, and he has also worked as an assistant professor in Pratisha Engineering College. He is also an application manager in Waveguide Technologies. And currently he is a founder CEO of Tesla Minds, and he has undertaken several projects at Waveguide Technologies, wearable antennas, reconfigurable and line impedance stabilization networks. And he has done several projects in his UG level and PG level, and he has also guided 123 plus projects for engineering students. He has published several papers in reputed national and international conferences and journals. He has been invited as a resource person for more than 100 plus events as a keynote speaker around India as well as abroad. With this huge profile, it's indeed my great privilege to hand over this session to you, sir. Please proceed, sir.
Thank you, sir. I would like to thank Arun sir, HOD ma'am, and the college management for giving me this opportunity to talk. I'll just make sure that am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. You are audible. You can proceed, sir.
I'll just share my screen. Please confirm that also, sir.
After sure, that, sir. Sure.
Is my screen visible, sir?
Yes, the screen is visible.
Yeah. And I'm audible also.
Yes, sir, you are audible and you can go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I would like to once again thank the college management, HOD ma'am and Arun sir for giving me this opportunity. So today I'll be talking about the medical imaging hardware approach. I'll be talking in general about what are the design challenges as far as hardware design for medical imaging is concerned. I'll not go deep into the different types of medical imaging algorithms and the other aspects because that is not our area of research or working. As a company or as a startup, we specialize in designing these instruments or designing a part of these different instruments. So my approach would be in that direction. Maybe it falls in sync with the topic, the hardware approach, right? So this is Jayananthan again. So I'll just start with the session agenda. So for this session, I'm going to talk about just 3 topics, the trends to watch out for as far as the medical imaging industry is concerned. I will talk about what are the different research areas, and maybe I can tell you what we at Tesla Minds are doing with respect to the medical imaging or in general the medical industry. Right. So this is my agenda, short agenda. Maybe I'll start from a vague point of view, like what are the different types of medical imaging techniques. But as the session progresses, we'll build the complexity, and when we finish, you'll all have the research topics or the idea of about research where you can focus on as far as medical imaging is concerned, right? So that is my objective. So we'll just go ahead with the uh, topic, right? So there are basically 5 types of imaging techniques. This may be a very basic thing, but maybe this is where we can start the presentation, right? So the basic 5 types of different types of medical imaging, which starts from X-ray, CT scan, ultrasound, MRI, and nuclear medical imaging, right? Or nuclear radiology. So in general, all these types of imaging techniques are called as radiology, where we use different radio waves and detect the either detect or diagnose any disease in our organs or tissues. So we start with the X-ray, where we expose our body or an organ to X-rays, and we just study the reflection and the absorption of the X-ray. So that is the X-ray, the basic form where everything started. The improved version of X-ray is computed tomography, that is a CT scan, where we take an X-ray over a period of angle, right, over an angle of the organ. So X-ray is a single dimension. Just imagine you standing in front of the X-ray machine. But CT scan is maybe we take multiple images around the body, like we take from different angles, and we stitch together the X-ray together. So a CT scan or computed tomography is an improved form of X-ray, but the only difference is it takes over an angle of the human body or organ. Next improvement over in the medical imaging was ultrasound, where it is a real-time X-ray where we can see the uh, images of the organ or the human body in real time. Like we generally use ultrasound to detect fetus or to detect newborns, right? So that is the one type of medical imaging. Then the improved form of CT scan is the MRI, the magnetic resonance imaging, where we go in depth and we can also read our diagnose the performance or the uh, health of the tissues and cell, which is not possible in CT scan. So CT scan, we can see a body part or we can study a body part, but in case of MRI, we can study even up to tissue levels or cell levels. Then we have nuclear medical imaging, where traces are taken inside the human body and they are exposed to nuclear radioactive emissions. And based upon that, we can diagnose the health of the humans, right? So these are the different imaging techniques which are used. So this is where we are going to talk about what are the recent advancements or where the industry is heading as far as the hardware design for these instruments are concerned, right? So to take in general, the medical market, imaging market is estimated to be around 53 billion US dollars, which is a very huge amount of money as far as the global market is concerned. So if you are willing to do research or if you are willing to start your own company with respect to the medical imaging market, there are bright prospects of being getting a patent for your research work and being rewarded for the hard work. So all these medical industries can take up your patent and they can give you the royalty for it. So if you are either into research or into medical imaging industry, manufacturing industry, the upcoming days are bright days for you. So there are different segments like X-ray segment, ultrasound segment, and the diagnostic centers. So in case of diagnostic centers, we have MRI scan and the nuclear radiology. Right. So this is the forecast. Everything looks bright.
Yes,
Now
sir.
let's
Sorry for
get
the
in.
inconvenience. There is a break in audio.
Yeah, sir. I'll just take care of it. Yeah, I'll just.
You can proceed, sir.
Yeah. So these are so that was a small glimpse about the market, how the market is, global market is, and after this pandemic situation, we all are geared up for health-based projects or health-based research, right? So again, in case of research, there is a big positive yes for getting into the research in this field, right? So these are the trends as far as the medical imaging industry is concerned. If it starts with the faster image acquisition, this is the first important trend. Then we have the gains in the optimal dose efficiency. I'll talk about it. Right. So these are the four trends: faster image acquisition, gains in the optimal dose efficiency, because we are talking about radio frequency waves or radioactive materials being exposed to our skin and tissues. In that case, that is one trend. So the movement of the imaging systems from 2D to 3D and 4D imaging systems, and use of AI for medical imaging analysis. So these are the four trends which we are going to talk about, or we are going to discuss in this session. Right. So we can work on, if you have a problem in mind, and you can take up any one of these challenges, so that we can work on it. So these are the four trends. So we can start with the first trend, which is the faster image acquisition. So if you have been to an MRI scan or a CT scan with for yourself or with someone close to you, so you can guess that when we do the MRI scan or CT scan, we are allowed to come after 1 hour only, or at least after 1 hour, and the MRI scan would be ready, reports would be ready. The reason is, as I said, in case of CT scan or MRI scan, we take the photo, or we expose the organ to X-rays at different angles of the body. So the process to get your MRI report is, or the CT scan report is, the algorithm or the software stitches all these different hundreds or 200s of photos together, maybe millions of billions of pixels together, to give you this image which you get as a report. So that is why to stitch all those images together, acquire those images and stitch all those images together, we have that delay. So one trend is, as far as medical imaging is concerned, is decreasing that image acquisition and processing time. So if you are into medical image processing, so how to decrease the time in which the image is acquired and processed and the report is generated. So this is a very important trend as far as the medical imaging is concerned. So the decreasing of the time from the point the patient is exposed to the X-ray, all the different position photographs are stitched together, and we get this MRI scan or CT scan. So decreasing the image acquisition and processing time is a very important trend. So what happens when we take an image, or when you go to a CT scan, is there is a CT detector, a computer tomography detector, where you have sensors, or where you have source where the X-rays are emitted and received there. So as far as the reflection is concerned. So then you have the photodiode array, where we have a number of channels. Then you have the analog data acquisition system. The point at which the analog data which is collected from the machine, the round color, maybe I'll show you that machine in a while. So the round color structure from where the image is taken, that is an analog image. So we have to process that, each one of those images, process out those analog signals, convert that into digital, so that the software can understand, or the processor can understand. So this is where the complexity or the challenge of designing these systems come into picture. So we can take up any one of these subparts or subcomponents as far as research is concerned. We can work on the photodiode array mechanisms. We can work on the ADC or DAC mechanisms, or we can work on the amplification or preamplifier or low noise amplifier circuit application. So any one of these hardware design challenges we can take up and we can work on. Of course, since we are talking about faster image acquisition, we can also work on digital image processing algorithms, which can process image faster, and we can have a much shorter time in delivering the MRI and CT scan reports. One advancement as far as faster image acquisition by normal or analysis is, we can also use AI and machine learning here. Maybe we can talk about it in the coming slides. As of now, we'll just restrict ourselves with the research of these individual components, right? So we can either work on the software or take up any one of these components and decrease the processing time or improve the efficiency there, right? So there are three types of emission or the exposure of the radiation. In general, it is a normal exposure, that is the X-ray type of exposure, that is the Cartesian exposure. Then we have radial and spiral types of exposures. So we can either use one of these types of exposure. This happens at this place. Maybe I'll show you that. This happens at this place. How the organ is exposed to the X-rays. So either straight away Cartesian form, radial form, or spiral form. Any one of these methods can be used to acquire or to study the organ or tissue in a much faster way, right? So this is one thing. Another thing is working on the hardware. As I told, we can work on take up any one of these components and work on the components, improve their efficiency or decrease the interference between the all the subparts. As I told, this is where we are very good at studying of the interference. As a company, we are very good at studying of the interference or decreasing the interference between the subcomponents of the system. Maybe that's why. So we'll discuss that in the research area slides. So as of now, just remember we can work on these different components. Right. So the next trend is decreasing the dose of X-ray or the nuclear exposure. So there are strict guidelines as far as the medical industry is concerned with respect to which organ of the body should be exposed to what type of rays and to what levels, right? Like how we have in our mobile phones the specific absorption rate. In case of medical imaging applications, we have these required specified levels which have to be maintained as far as the medical imaging is concerned. So all this data, maybe this is the disclaimer, all this data I have taken from Google. So if anyone wants the reference after this session, I can give you the references, right? So each and every slide has been taken from Google, different studies and different websites. So if anyone wants the reference, I can give you after this session. Okay, so the optimal dose efficiency is important because as we are already exposed to RF frequencies by the mobile applications, it becomes important that we decrease the exposure to radioactive materials or again the RF high energy RF energy during the medical examination, right? So in case of cancer cells or tumor cells, we should take special precautions so that the tissue are not exposed to RF energy, high RF energy, and they in turn don't cause the cancer cells to multiply faster. So that is where this trend comes into picture. The study of the exposure and decreasing the maximum allowable exposure to the individual organs. So here, as you can see that in this table, you have the radiation doses for different organs. For example, the dental radiography. So if you're studying the dental, in case of dental radiography, so in that case, the exposure should be only 0.005 milli GY or milli SV. So milli GY is grays, GY is called as grays, and SV is millisieverts. So the 1 GY, or as you can see, the 1 grays is equal to 1 joule per kilogram of energy. So 1 joule of energy or is exposed per kilogram of the tissue. So that is 1 GY or 1 millisieverts, which is used in case of radiation exposures, right? Both are same. So in case of dental radiography, that should be the maximum exposure to the organ, like brain. Brain is used to study the dental deficiencies, right? So if we are doing the posterior or anterior chest, either the front or back part of the chest, the exposure should be 0.01 GY. So these are the reason why I'm telling you this is, if you are doing a research on studying the lung cancer tissue or studying the other tissues. This we should make sure that the antennas which you use or the design which we are building up should not exceed this exposure level, right? So for each organs we have uh, the exposure levels defined. So this we should take care in case of designing the hardware uh, for these particular scans. Right. So maybe you can see in case of screening mammography. So if you are studying this breast cancer detection and control, in that case, the maximum allowable exposure is 3 GY. So you can see if you are talking about cancer cells, the exposure is little higher as compared to a little, direct study or direct examination. So here, in case of medical imaging, examination is the testing procedure. So that is the keyword used in the hospital nomenclature. Right. So these are the different exposure levels for different body parts or organs. The important thing here is this is another example which is used to study the same dental. I'll take up the dental radiography. So in case of dental radiography, if you adjust the voltage, so this is important. So what components of the test hardware contribute to the exposure? So if we were, for example, here there are different settings of the instrument like voltage, ampere, resolution of the image, or exposure time, the rotation setup, what is the repetition of the study, what is the field of view. So when we are adjusting these positions or these parameters in the instrument, there is a change in the exposure level to the organ. For example, when we adjust the voltage or when we increase the voltage, the exposure increases. Right. So the exposure of the organ to the harmful or maybe the RF radiation or the nuclear radiation increases. The reason why I'm telling you this is these are the few important parameters as RF engineers or EC engineers or any research perspective. We need to take care of and understand what happens when we adjust or a certain parameter in the instrument and what happens to the actual tissue or the organ exposed to that signal, right? So when we adjust the voltage, the exposure increases by 2 times, or it generally increases, and it depends upon the different make of the company. Like the major players here are GE, General Electronics, Philips, Siemens, and ICAD. There are a lot of different major players which take care of all these different parameters which we are going to discuss, right? And when we adjust the number of or the voltage or current level, maybe the radiation does not increase, but it remains same. But when we adjust the voltage, which means we are increasing the amplitude of the input sign, RF wave, in that case the exposure is maximum. So again, the exposure increases when we increase the exposure time. So when we increase the time for which the body part is exposed to that X-ray or CT scan or MRI, the exposure increases there. So that is harmful for the tissue, right? So again, if you are increasing the field of view, so we are increasing the angle of taking the medical images. In that case also the exposure is increased. So if you are designing an MRI or CT scan or nuclear radiology equipments, we should make sure that even if we increase the voltage or even if we change the field of view, the exposure does not increase. So that is the challenge here as far as hardware is concerned, hardware design is concerned. So even if we increase the voltage, the organ or the tissue should not be exposed to the increased emissions. So as an engineer, we need to take care of controlling the emissions to the body. So that is the second trend. The first trend was decreasing or faster acquisition and processing. Second is optimizing the exposure of the RF and nuclear energy on the tissue or the body part. That is the second aspect. So one more example, don't zoom in on your screens. I will do it because if we both do, we'll get awkward results, right? So here, this is the example where I can tell you, or this is a study done by a company. These companies, right? They have done a study of what is the maximum exposure level for each organ as far as the different organs are concerned, and what is if the for a single test, what equivalent radio emissions is that. So maybe I'll tell you that. For example, if we are doing a CT scan of the abdomen or pelvis area, right, our abdominal area or pelvis area, the maximum exposure limit in that case is 10 MSV or 10 millisieverts. That when we do a test for maybe the duration, for example, I'm not telling the exact time. For example, we are doing the test for 1 minute, right? That the equivalent exposure for that 1 minute which we give is equivalent to having the exposure to for 3 years, the comparable to natural background for radiation. So if naturally the body was exposed to that amount of radioactive element or X-ray, sorry, RF energy, it will be equivalent to 3 years of exposure to that X-ray or RF energy, which means if we are doing a CT scan for 10 minutes, for example, right, I'm not telling the exact time. If we are doing a CT scan for 10 minutes, it is equivalent to exposing the body part or the organ for 3 years for that particular frequency. Right. So this is important. So this is where the dosage comes into picture. Our need is to decrease this exposure time. So that the equivalent time. All right. So maybe you can see, we can take up another example. For example, we are doing a radiography for spine and the bone structure you can see. In case of radiography for spine, if we are doing an X-ray for the bone structure, the maximum exposure level is 1.5 millisieverts, which is equivalent to exposing our bones to that X-ray machine for 6 months. So when we take an X-ray, that is a millifraction of second, you have high energy, right? So that is equivalent to exposing an X-ray for 6 months, right? So that is the dosage level which we give in the medical imaging process. So here, and the last thing you can see, the risk of cancer, right? So when the exposure is for these limits, which is the minimum possible limit, the last yellow or dark yellow or green is the cancer risk. So you can see in case of CT scan, when the higher power like 20 MSV for abdomen or pelvis, there is a moderate chance of getting cancer, just because even if you are going to some other CT scan, because of that exposure, we might get cancer. Right. So that is the need of decreasing the dosage level. Right. So it's not like you are going for one particular medical diagnosis, you are getting another medical complication for free. Right. So in that case, the exposure from the hardware to these different organs should be taken care of, and that is one major area of concern and the trend for research. Right. Again, I'll just round it up because we are talking about hardware. So when we design any hardware, we should make sure that the emissions or the prescribed levels of emissions are followed, and our research should take care that we should even minimize these exposure levels more. Right. So that is the second trend, that is the optimal dose efficiency. Right. The third trend is 2D imaging, which is evolving to 3D. Here in this example, the image you can see, initially we had the X-ray, then we have 2D, like we have the CT scan or the MRI scans. In now what we are dealing with, or what we are researching, is the 3D and 4D. Maybe still not, we are not there in the 5D, but there are prototypes for 4D, 3D, 4D and 5D. There are available prototypes which are being studied for the foolproofness, right? So this is the another trend which is evolving. So if you are into image acquisition or image processing and creating a 3D image out of the existing technologies is a very interesting trend. Why? And the reason is why we should go to 3D or 4D or 5D imaging system. So these images when compared to 3D and 2D and 3D, the study or the implications of a 3D image are much better. We can study an image much better or an organ in a much better way when we have a 3D design, which means we can entirely study an organ and its functioning with these images, real-time images. And moreover, they are real-time image, not like MRI scan, which we take and we get a report. They are all real-time images. Right. So this is one important aspect of or improvement as far as medical imaging is concerned. The third improvement, the first one was faster image acquisition and processing. Second was decreasing the dosage efficiency, the dosage level, or optimizing the dosage efficiency. Third trend is moving from 2D to 3D, 4D, and 5D. So this is a very important improvement. So what happens here is the same CT scan, right? Or CT scan and MRI can be used here. We can participant, please mute your mic. Right. So what happens here is we gather the images in both RGB scales. We stitch them together, and on the screens we have the 3D image or 4D image. It's not like we are directly capturing a video, right? It's the same scans, but here we are going to stitch. So just imagine how faster. So at present, with the MRI scan or CT scan takes 1 hour, at least 30 minutes, right? Just imagine getting the real-time image of your organs, of our organs in real time. So that's the improved fast data acquisition, processing, and displaying on the screens. So we should have faster FPGA implementation. We should have faster algorithms to process the data and to display this data. So these are the advancements which, as far as this moving from 2D to 3D is concerned, or 4D or 5D is concerned. So the hardware and the software advancements need to be taken care of, or are taken care of in this particular trend, right? So the fourth trend is combining both this 3D imaging system and the faster image processing system, right? So again, maybe I'll tell you about this. So in case of 2D or in ultrasound, we generally see the fetus, right, or the gestation period of in the mother, right? So in that case, you can see the ultrasound. The 3D images reconstructing the different angles of the ultrasound and giving us the 3D image, exactly what is there, what is happening in the fetus, right? That is a still image, but 4D is a real-time image, right? You'll get a video. It's not like we are inserting a camera inside or we are doing endoscopy. This is completely just by scanning from the surface. Just imagine that ultrasound. For ultrasound, we have an instrument which we rub over the organ or the stomach. Where we have a paste gel, electrolytic gel. Over that, we rub that handheld device so that we can get that ultrasound. Now, the 3D image is the 3D type of the ultrasound, but it is a still image. So we just expose the fetus to the different, we just have the different angle images. The processor stitches together and gives us a still 3D image. But when we talk about 4D, in that case, it's a real-time image. So when we do that ultrasound, 4D ultrasound, we can see the movement of the baby, right? That is 4D. And we have the HD, high definition image. So maybe that is processed from the 4D. That is not actually the acquired image, but HD is the processed image. So in that case, this is how the medical imaging industry is improving. Now, just imagine we talk about the exposure of the normal human being. Now we are talking about exposure to the newborn or still a human being which has still not born, so which is still in the gestation period. In that case, we should take special care in exposing the tissues of that newborn to the RF energy dosage. So that is the hardware challenge or the trend which we are moving, which we discussed in the last trend. So here in this case, evolving from 2D to 3D and 4D and HD is the current trend in the imaging industry. So we cannot diagnose here. Maybe diagnosis is still far, but here we can, in this trend, what we are doing is we are able to view the organs in real time and in 3D or 4D manner, right? So that takes us to the next or the last type of improvement, that is use of artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence is the game changer as far as the medical imaging industry is concerned. So till now, whatever we talked, image acquisition, image processing, and image representation or display, everything takes care with this set of rules, right? Now, artificial intelligence is the game changer or the improvement or the agent which will improve the entire medical imaging industry. So we have machine learning algorithms, we have deep learning algorithms, which improve the imaging acquisition and processing. So we are going to see what artificial intelligence is going to do with respect to the medical imaging industry. One thing is, yeah, I have. Yeah. So the first thing which we can do with artificial intelligence, maybe I can show you this image first. There is an arm of Google Inc. or Alphabet, which is called as Google DeepMind, right? So this is to do with the deep learning and machine learning process of the Google, right? So what, with the help of DeepMind, researchers have done, what they have done is they have studied the retina information, real-time retina. They can, maybe I had an image here on the left-hand side. I'm not sure why it is not showing. Okay, so you can see a real-time retina image here, and here you can see a scan. Maybe I'm not sure what type of scan it is, but you can see a scan, a real-time image, retina image scan. And what, this is a general scan which is done today. But what, with the help of deep learning or the DeepMind arm of the Google, researchers have done, what they have done is, with the help of the software or the deep learning example, they have found out 50, they can diagnose 53 types of different deficiencies in the eye within a short period of time. So when the retina is exposed to this scan, the deep learning algorithm can immediately tell about 53 different types of deficiencies in the retina. So what happens in this case is, in this case you have, sorry. So here you can see the block diagram here. You have the input image, then the algorithm creates a tissue map with labels for the anatomy and the artifacts, what are the different constituents in the retina. The software creates a different map for each layer of the retina. With that, and with the regular algorithms with which we can find the different deficiencies, the deep learning algorithm can quickly tell what deficiencies are there in the retina. So this is one example where artificial intelligence can be used to quickly diagnose a deficiency, right? So in general, what the time would have taken, maybe it would have taken half an hour or 1 hour to take this scan and process the entire images, different angles of the images. So if you have gone for a eye scan, you can see the scanner moves around the eye, right? So in that case, stitching all those different images and quickly telling you what are the deficiencies in the retina. So that is done or implemented using deep learning by using DeepMind technology or software algorithms, right? So this is one maybe a very small example which I wanted to tell you, which is happening or which has been done using artificial intelligence, right? So identifying the retinal deficiencies using deep learning algorithm, right? So there is one more company which is working as far as using deep learning algorithm and machine learning algorithm is iCAD company. So they specialize in breast cancer detection. Here you can see there is an X-ray tube, which is basically a CT scan or a MRI scan tube, the round color structure. With respect to the different, maybe now we can visualize, even if you have not understood till now you can visualize. There are different positions the scanner moves, or the different sources are present at different positions. So each one of these sources give the radiations out on the patient's organ or the body, and the reflections are studied on the detector. And each one of these images or the position images are studied, stitched together, and give us the report. That is the CT scan report or MRI scan report, which we see in that black color sheet. Right. So now this iCAD company, what they have done is, this process is called as tomography. Right. So what they have done with respect to the tomography is, they have increased the processing of the images using deep learning algorithms. Depending upon the detector images received, deep learning algorithms are used to process the image. So you have the breast cancer tissues being analyzed using the deep learning algorithms. Different images are captured, and now the deep learning algorithm does not take care of the image process capture. Image capture takes place on its own, but the algorithm is used to detect the deficiencies in the tissues. Right. So the algorithm stitches together the deficiencies in each one of these photographs, right, and detects whether there is a deficiency or a cancer tissue inside the different positions of the organ. Right. So this is one example where you have faster cancer detection using deep learning algorithms or machine learning algorithms. Right. So I'm not going deep into this, because that itself becomes a presentation topic. Maybe the session you can use it. How we can use this session is, you can have this as an inspiration to take up any one of these topics and start your research on. Right. So the next trend, so as far as improvement of using the artificial intelligence is, we can use the artificial intelligence or machine learning to do virtual reality and augmented reality of the patients or the organs. So the virtual reality and augmented reality can be used for different phases of the medical treatment or medical imaging. Right, we can use for simulation, real-time test and diagnosis or examination. We can use it for pain distraction. We can use it for virtual reality exposure therapy. We'll talk about it. Right, then we have diagnostic procedures and the rehabilitation procedures. So as of now, we are in 2020. Most of the AR, VR are used for the simulation, just the simulation and the diagnostic purposes. But when we are moving ahead, maybe 2025 or 10 years from now on, the augmented reality and virtual reality will be used for simulation of the organs. So even if the doctor is not there near you, with the scan results, the doctor can simulate the entire organ sitting from the hospital or from a remote location. So that is where the augmented reality and virtual reality comes into picture. So even if the doctor is not there, they can perform the operation from a remote location. So in that case, augmented reality gives you a simulation-like environment. So in this case, you can see the heart of the patient being created as an image in the real time. So in the operation theater, instead of inserting a camera inside the heart or the tissues and studying the parameters, the heart image can be created as a 3D image or a hologram image, right? And they can be studied, and then the operation can be performed, right? And the operation can be performed using virtual reality. I have taken both the heart examples. So the operation is performed on the 3D image only, right? But in real time, what would have been happening there is, the robots will take care. Participants, please mute your mic. So with the addition of the virtual reality, what can happen is, the operation can be performed from a remote location, right? So the 3D image is created using the augmented reality. You augment a reality situation. Virtual reality helps in creating hardwares and instruments which can perform operations for the doctor from remote locations. So here we combine medical imaging, we combine the entire AR VR experience with the operation or the hospital environment. So maybe this is the culmination of the different trends which we talked till now. So the exposure of the scanned or the organ to these imaging systems, the creation of the images in real time for real time operation, and doing the operation, right? Performing the operation. So the artificial intelligence is a game changer. As I told, it is the game changer as far as medical imaging and processing is concerned. So we are not only diagnosing the tissue cells or the body organs, we can also perform operations using this type of medical imaging, right? So what we need to do now is we need to design hardware for different aspects of this technology, right? So maybe we'll see first for what applications AR VR can be used with the artificial intelligence. So AR, or maybe I'll just talk about AR VR. I'll not tell augmented reality and virtual reality each time. Okay. So AR VR can be used for diagnostics and planning. So in that process takes care of image visualization and surgical procedure planning. So we are only doing the image acquisition and we are going to plan the surgical procedure. So in that case, we can use AR VR for. We can also use AR VR for the educational and training purposes. So if we have a medical college or if you want to train the doctors, we can use the simulation instead of the actual organ, right? So that is the educational training purposes. Then we can use it for treatment. So different types of diseases can be treated by the AR and VR hardware. This is very interesting. So we can treat autism, we can treat different types of phobias, we can do pain management using AR and VR. And so AR and VR coupled with the medical equipments or the medical procedures, right? It's not only, it's not like you're going to wear a smart glass, a VR glass and the pain will vanish. It's not like that. Using that VR and the other equipments or the hardwares, we can treat autism, we can treat phobias, we can do pain management, we can eradicate addictions, we can do telemedicine. So maybe this is not we generally hear about telemedicine, right? So we can use AR, VR in case of telemedicines also. And you can see the different companies which are working. So I'll share this presentation. You can go to their websites and see what they are doing and plan your research work on that, right? So then we can use AR, VR for surgeries. We can do computer assistant surgeries. Either they are assisted or complete robotic surgery, as I told now. And we can also use AR VR for rehabilitation, right? In case of dementia patients or Alzheimer patients, we can use AR VR experience with medical imaging and artificial intelligence to do rehabilitation, right? So these are different companies. Maybe if you have time after this session, we can visit their websites and see what they are doing. Maybe I'll restrict myself to introducing to these different companies. Okay, so this is what AR VR is doing, these companies, and this is the hardware requirement. So the hardware requirement needs to do in case of the operation medical emergency equipments. What we have to do is we have to have an hardware to track the position of the hardware, right? Robot hands or the robotic positions, right? Then we need to have the magnetic tracking. Magnetic tracking is to do with the organ tracking. Then we have to do the infrared tracking. So these are the different hardwares which are present inside these AR VR machines, right? So we have infrared tracking, we have image processing methods. So we don't only rely upon camera or the image acquisition systems. We also have magnetic tracking, fiber optic tracking, infrared tracking, and robotic tracking. Then we have the object registration, confirming whether this is the required organ, right? Then we have the video streaming in case as a second line of emergency in case these systems fail. We have the video systems. Then we have so what happens is the scene synthesis is done. So whatever image is being captured, the images are stitched together as a video, and the synthesis is done. So we need to have powerful FPGA architectures and powerful algorithms to do that. Right. Then we have the AR experience, that is the hologram image, or the VR scene. VR scene means the image visible inside this glasses, VR glasses. So the 3D image is the AR scene, and whatever is visualized inside the glasses is called a VR scene. Right. So this is the different aspects or the hardware aspects, because the topic was hardware. So I'm just repeating hardware for each one of the slides. Right. So these are the different hardware requirements as far as the medical imaging using AR VR experience is concerned. Right. Nuclear imaging. So nuclear imaging is the last type of imaging systems, which is generally used where the nuclear traces. Yeah, I have time. Yeah, I have half an hour more. So nuclear imaging techniques are used in case of uh, patients where this is a different types of imaging other than exposing the RF energy. So till now, whatever we talked here was exposing the organs to RF energy. Now, nuclear imaging is done by taking nuclear traces or radioactive traces inside the patient body, and then the radioactive elements are exposed to the uh, incident RF signal. So in that case, not only we have the RF exposure, we also have the nuclear elements going inside our body. So this is done in case of the detection of cancer or tumor cells. So this is done in generally for those kinds of detection or diagnostic procedures. So in this case, as I told, we have the traces, the nuclear traces which are taken with biodegradable solutions, which are taken inside the patient body. And when these nuclear traces reach that particular organ, the intended organ, they are exposed to the RF or general RF signals. And when these RF signals fall on those particles or radioactive materials, they emit light, right? They emit radioactive behavior. They do the radioactive behavior. So the image processing system catches hold of that emitted radiation and gives us the medical image of that particular organ. What you can see here, right? So this is the general equipment which is used, and there are a lot of major players like Philips, GE, and Siemens, which design all these different instruments. There are a lot of instruments. You have SPEC, you have PEC, and different types of equipments. You can read about them. So in case of nuclear imaging, the maybe not much to do with the hardware part, but the important aspect here is choosing the chemical component or creating a chemical component which gives us better results, right? For example, here you can see you have different uh, chemical constituents which are created for a specific. Yes. Participants, please mute your mics. I'm sorry. I thought my time is over. We have time. So in nuclear imaging, in addition to the hardware advancement, what happens in nuclear imaging is you have advancements in creating these radioactive materials, right? So what happens in nuclear imaging is initially we have the radioactive materials. We do nuclear engineering. The researchers, not we. The researchers do the nuclear engineering and create suitable antibodies or the materials which can go inside our organs or the body, or which can mix with our blood and go to the respective organs. So in that case, these are chosen in such a way that one thing is they should not cause any harm to the organs, right? As I said, it's not like we are going to diagnose a different ailment, and in addition we get cancer for free. It's not. The materials or the instruments which we design, hardware which we design, should not do that. Yeah, right. So the engineered materials are studied here for the exposure levels. Then they are used to do radiobiology or therapeutic combination. So the when the organ or the tissue absorbs these radioactive materials, they emit a certain type of emissions. So that is captured by the image processing systems or the detector systems in this instrument, and that is studied and processed by the hardware. So maybe this is the just repeat of what we have been talking now, but one addition aspect here is the research of the radioactive materials, which is very, very important as far as nuclear radiology is concerned. So each organ has different requirements for of these materials, and that needs to be studied and optimized. Right. So that is one aspect of the using or the trend of the imaging, medical imaging. Right. So we have just talked about various aspects of medical imaging advancements. We talked about faster image acquisition. We talked about using optimal dose efficiency or optimal dosages for individual organs. And then we talked about using AR, VR for medical imaging and operation or diagnosis and surgical procedures. We also talked about artificial intelligence and machine learning and deep learning protocols or algorithms, right? So after that, we discussed about nuclear imaging. So this is the few topics which we have discussed till now. Next is the wearable industry. Maybe this is not entirely into image processing, not with respect to the image processing or detecting the image, but wearable technology is getting there. And as of now, the latest advancement is a smartwatch can measure the oxygen levels in the blood flow. Right. So the latest version of the Apple Watch can measure the blood oxygen level, which is important in characterizing whether a patient has COVID-19 or not. Right. Or any ailment can be found out with the respect of the chemical composition of the blood. So the advancement, what will happen in future is so in addition to detecting the oxygen, we can now detect. So that opens the gate for detecting different uh, chemicals. Sorry, yeah, different chemicals or the different composition in the blood, and detecting whether you have a specific type of deficiency or not. Right. So we are getting there, and wearable is not actually image processing system, but we are getting there. So just don't think about smartwatch. Wearables come in different shapes and sizes. They can be a cap which a patient can wear to reduce the brain tumor cell multiplication. It can be a sticker-like structure. The wearables can be a sticker-like structure which can be struck over any organ, and we can expose a certain dosage of RF so that the cancer cell or tumor cell do not multiply or they get destroyed. So in addition to that, or in addition to cancer reduction and detection and destruction, what wearables can be used is maybe this is a open topic which I can give you all. As we have just talked about the exposure of the organs to the different X-ray, right? X-ray frequency and the RF frequency. Just imagine we having an array of antennas which can be stuck or as in the type of a sticker or a band, right? An array of antennas, wearable antennas in the type of band which can be worn on the arm or any organ, right? Around the abdomen or like a belt or a wristband, right? And we are able to take out the image of that wrist or abdomen, right? Both are RF signals only, and both are uh, we can do Both are 3D image processing techniques, right? We have a wristband all around our hand, so we can expose the RF energy on the entire hand wrist, right? And we can sense what is the detected RF energy on the other side, and we can image. Maybe this is a very very vague idea, maybe which is not there still, but maybe what we are thinking to work on. As soon as I got this topic, and when I was preparing this presentation, this idea is what I got, right? So we are already designing wearable antennas. In addition to that, we can design an array of wearable antennas, miniaturized wearable antennas, and create a detection mechanism around the textile, right? And we can get a real-time image out of the image processing system, sorry, the array of antennas. Maybe this is a long way, but this is how maybe we are going to focus as far as medical imaging is concerned. In that way, I'm very grateful to the organizers for giving us this opportunity, because now I have a new product idea out of this research. Sorry, this presentation. Right. So wearables are getting there. We can use wearables, as I just told about you about designing as a structure where we can expose the signals, sorry, organs to a RF industry, sorry, the RF signal, and we can detect and image the entire arm or any bone which we want. Right. So in that case, wearables are still in the picture of medical imaging industry. So as I told, we are very much working on the wearable antennas, and I can show you one product which we are developing. Maybe since I am the decision maker, I can show you a project which we are working on, and after that I'll explain about this. Right? I'll just quickly change my presentation. So till now we have discussed about the trends of the medical imaging system, where we discussed about the faster image acquisition. We discussed about the dosage exposure to the organs, the levels of which the dosage can be exposed. Then we talked about using artificial intelligence in medical imaging industry. Then we talked about using AR VR experience for doing the medical imaging and surgical procedures. Then we talked about the implications of the wearable technology or wearable electronics in medical imaging. Right. I'll quickly change my slide to a project which we are doing. Maybe not we are, my interns have done this. The internship which we completed last month. So we had a project. We gave a project to a team of engineers, which included engineers from even apprentice engineers from institutions like Samir also, right? So the what we gave an wearable antenna design where the need was to study different substrates, right? Different textiles for a cancer detection antenna, right? So this was the study done by these students. Maybe you can read their name. They were all over from all over India, and few of them were for working professionals also, right? So what the need was to design a 2.4 gigahertz. What maybe we have a prototype here for this particular design, and the tool which we used was CST tool. Then the performance was analyzed for 3 different fabric materials or textile materials like denim, cotton, and rubber. Maybe if you have attended my previous sessions of about wearable electronics, this is the same project which I talked in that different FDP also, right? So if you find it repeating, just check whether I'm telling the right presentation or not, right? So the objective was to design a 2.4 gigahertz antenna and study the 3 different cloth materials for the wearable application, and also to observe the SAR values of the antenna for the different cloths, textile materials. So here, maybe I'll skip this literature survey part. I'm not going to explain. And you can see they have analyzed a lot of different parameters as far as the literature survey is concerned. So yeah, so what happened here is, so we took up 3 different textile materials: silk, cotton, and rubber fabric. And our aim was to design a rubber wristband right? So we have optimized all the results for rubber fabric only. So the final result was for the optimization of the antenna was for the rubber fabric only, right? So again, the reason was we were aiming to design a rubber band or a wristband which can detect the biosignals of the patient. Now, after this session, I'm going to just improve that design and check whether we can design an image processing system out of that wristband. Right. So if you are interested in doing collaborating with us for this project, and this was all on spot, right? So if you are interested in collaborating for this project, I'll share my contact after this session. We can collaborate as an institution or as an individual with us, and we can bring this product to life, and we can apply patent together, and we can bring this product to life, right? So uh, we have mathematical modeling systems, and they were the team took the mathematical modeling. They created their own MATLAB code to find out the values of these different parameters. That was really interesting as far as the interns are concerned. They created their own MATLAB code to study the effects of the different materials. Right? And we also used CST tool to study the effects of the different tools. Right? Sorry, the different cloth materials. So here we models. I'll just zoom in. In this case, we modeled the skin, the upper layer of the skin, the muscles. We modeled that as a phantom using the CST software, and we optimized the entire results for the rubber fabric. So this is important in case of any RF circuit design or wearable antenna design. So as you can see, the performance was plotted using the CST software, and the blue color thing, the blue color line, which is the rubber, dark blue. So that was the required performance. Still, we have to improve the return loss because it's still on around -20 only. So still, we have to improve the simulation, which we are doing right now. And maybe in 1 or 2 months, we'll have the first prototype coming out of this product. And after that, if you are interested, we can collaborate, or anyway we are going ahead with this product development, right? So we plotted the frequency response, we plotted the VSWR required for the antenna, right? And we also did the 3D radiation pattern analysis, which is important when we talk about wearable electronics, right? So, and we also did the, maybe I'll skip all this. We also did this current analysis because we are concerned about the exposure of the antenna and the skin to different current levels or the magnetic fields generated in the antenna. So that was the E field and H field analysis of the antenna. And as I said, we also analyzed SAR value, the specific absorption rate for the different materials. And we found, as I told, the results were optimized for rubber. So we found that the rubber was the most efficient out of the three different antennas. So this is just optimized. We can also optimize the entire antenna for denim fabric, or we can optimize the entire antenna for cotton. It depends upon what the product which we need to design. And we were interested in designing a rubber strip which we can wear around our arms. So we optimize the results for rubber band, sorry, rubber fabric or rubber material. Right. Yeah, I have time. So this was the SAR analysis, the performance analysis of the system. Maybe we are optimizing the return loss, and we have to optimize the other parameters required, few other parameters of this antenna, and we will have our first prototype, which might not be a product, but which we can improve, and we can release as a product. Or first we can have a patent first, then we can release it as a product. So this is what we are doing at Tesla Minds as a company. It's a small startup, not a company like Qualcomm or Samir. Small startup, but we are much more flexible as far as the research is concerned. So if you are interested in collaborating, I'll share my contact after this session. At the end of this session, we can get in touch, and we can start the work on the product. Right. So this is the product which we are developing at our company. So in general, in addition to whatever, I'll just go to my slide. Forgive me for this fast or the screen. Yeah. So this is another antenna which we had designed before this internship period, where we used cotton fabric, right? So this antenna was optimized for cotton fabric, a different shape of antenna. But here again, the operating frequency was 2.4 gigahertz only, the ISM band, where this was used for again patient monitoring and the biosignal monitoring of the patient. So you can see we can either use any one of the materials, and we can create antenna and array of antennas to create the imaging system also. Right. So that is becoming my favorite topic now. So these are the different. So this we have a prototype ready. We have a prototype which we have tested for the required operating frequency using an instrument called a network analyzer. So these are different instruments which we can use to characterize the components. So this is what we are doing, and we are getting there. Wearable antennas is not actual image processing system as of now, but in future it will surely get to the point where we can use wearable electronics, or a cap, or a belt, or a wristband, which can give you a real-time image of the organ of that particular location. Right. So that is maybe a near future, which is possible. So that is one aspect. Right. So coming to the research area, which is important, right? Why we are here? The research area, as far as the medical equipment or hardware is concerned, um, there are these few research areas where they are very deep. Each one of the research areas are very deep. You can deep dive into any one of these aspects and start your medical imaging research work, right? Even if you have a PhD, don't worry, you can do a postdoctoral, or if you have a postdoctorate, you can do another postdoctorate, right? So uh, research areas as far as medical imaging is concerned, study of that RF exposure, right? The use of different RF frequencies for different organs and different diagnosis. For example, diagnosis of cancer cells, or if you are just going to diagnose whether uh, any inflammation or irritation in the skin is there, we can use RF exposure and study that tissue type and see where the irritation is, or why that irritation or inflammation is there on the skin. In that case, use of different RF frequencies, different RF uh, ranges for the different diagnosis of diseases is important. So that is one research area. Maybe use of one type of RF energy for one type of disease detection. So that is the one research area. Next thing is we can work on image acquisition systems. So as the name suggests, we can work on creating the image out of the received analog signal, or we can work on, after creating the image, how we are going to process the image, right? Increasing the efficiency of the image, spectral efficiency of the image, we can work on that. So creating algorithms for faster acquisition and processing of the image is a very wide area of research. Then we have AI algorithms. So instead of running the entire algorithm for the image acquisition for from different angles, we can use AI. And if we find a tumor cell in one of the photographs, in the next array of photographs, what we can do from the scan is we can only found the AI algorithms can immediately find that area in that the next image and process that data. Instead of stitching the entire image, we can focus on specific pixels of the required test region. For example, if we are going to test a small part of the brain, in that case, using AI, and if we have hundreds of photos of the same image brain, instead of scanning the entire brain image pixels and stitching together as a video or as a 3D hologram, what AI can do is, or deep learning machine learning can do is, they can detect the deficient tissue or the part of the brain, and create the efficient image only of that particular part. So it will not focus on creating the HD image of the entire scan image, right? So that is the research area as far as finding the required area of image enhancement and doing the same in the next set of photographs or the detected photographs. So that is using AI, and maybe you can use, after detecting the required deficient part of the brain, we can create a hologram or we can create a 3D image for AR VR. So that is again which comes inside the AI, developing AI algorithms for medical imaging. Then we have AR VR hardware. So when we talk about AR VR hardware, they are example of wearable electronics. So when we wear the AR VR, which are wirelessly connected to the internet, we should make sure that the internet frequency, right, the Wi-Fi or Bluetooth frequency does not interfere with the skin tissues, right, where we wear, like we wear on the near the eye or near the brain only. So in that case, the exchange of information over the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth should not disturb the tissue alignment or the tissue chemical composition in the skin or in the brain. So that is a research area, how we can reduce the effect of RF signal on the human tissue, or how we can improve the data exchange between the Wi-Fi modem and the AR VR glasses. So that is one thing, area of research. Maybe these are very, very generic, as I know, but as I just told you, you can use this session as a introductory session of the different area of research. You can take up any one of this area of research and you can start your product development. Right. So next comes the CAD tool. So yes, we can have different hardwares, but the tools which we use to visualize, the software tools which we use to visualize the 3D images, 4D images, or 5D images are very important. So there is a need to create these softwares or to create mathematical models for these softwares and create that software. So designing the CAD tool itself is a very big research area. So using the CAD tool is a different aspect, but designing the CAD tool itself is a very important research area. For example, I'll just go back to this slide. So we need to design a CAD tool where we can visualize this 3D image, right? We can visualize the 3D hologram. So that is the challenge there. So starting with the use of the radio frequency signals, the algorithms for image acquisition systems, use of AI for artificial intelligence, or the subset, the deep learning and machine learning, to stitch the different parts of the images acquired and focus only on the required region, right? That can be done using artificial intelligence, like in the example of the retina using DeepMind algorithms, right? So AR/VR hardware design and protection of the skin from exposure. Then we have CAD tool research, CAD tool design and use of the CAD tools. And then most important aspect, because we are talking about all electronic components, the power supply design of all these hardwares is a completely different aspect, which will come into the medical electronics industry. So how we are going to supply the power required to these different aspects of the medical imaging process. So this is a very interesting area of application. Maybe you might not have expected this, but the power supply is a very, very interesting aspect of medical imaging systems. Then of course we have VLSI. So we want all the equipments to be compact. So improving the architecture of the FPGA or the individual antenna systems or the RF front ends is very, very important. So talking about VLSI, that is again a very big research area, right? So these are the 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 different types of research areas, very, very vague research area. We can take up any one of the research areas, or maybe if you have any doubts, you can contact us. I can very well help you with the research areas, right? If you are, these are with respect to the topics, right? If you are going to choose the research area depending upon the application, right? So whether it is a radiology or CT scan or telemedicine, you can choose any one of these methods, right? So I'll just zoom in on my screen, do it on your screen, right? So in here you can see that you have the right. So you have different types of technologies like distributed and secure technologies, real-time improved imaging on the extreme left, right? So you can see incremental innovations and point solutions, right? So here you can see as far as the, let's for example, distributed and secure technologies you have, we can use blockchain and cloud-based. So they may now, this is an additional term here, right? In addition to deep learning and machine learning. So this is now this infographic is dependent upon what is the industry doing. So this is the research aspect, right? So what is the industry doing with respect to the adaptation and using these technologies concerned. So you have the company count, you have the average number of transactions or the number of papers published there. Then you have the cash transaction, the revenue model, and when these companies were founded. Maybe this was not needed here, but you can see that more number of the number of companies in general working on these different aspects. Oh, sorry, different aspects. Like you can see the 3D visualization and VR. In there, we have close to 19 different companies which are working there. We have nuclear and hybrid imaging, where there are close to 13 different uh, I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you're
Yeah,
audible, sir.
thank you. Thank you. Just got a disturbance, sorry. So we can see with respect to where was I? Yeah, nuclear and hybrid imaging. So if you are going to go with, so if you are interested in going with the company or industry way, like that is this infographic, right? So if you are going with portable imaging systems, so we have portable MRI scanners these days, right? So in that case, we have close to 16 companies, different companies which are working on them, right? If you are going to a company where they are working on faster image acquisition systems, we have close to 9 companies. In case of telemedicine, we have close to 4 companies which are working on that application. This does not include startups. This only includes major corporations or major players in the telemedicine industry. Then we have 3D printing. This is very, very important. So we can use the medical imaging to study the image. We can create 3D images. Now that is the challenge, right? Just imagine getting the 3D image out of the patient's body, and we can create a 3D model of that image. Right. Just imagine having a bone structure. No, maybe not exactly the bone structure. We can replace the entire bone based upon maybe not biologically, right? But we can have at least a structure in place where we the entire bone is crushed off, right? In that case, instead of using stents, definite shape which are not on the shape of the bones, we can use the 3D images of the bones, create an artificial bone, and use it in the patient's body. So here the image acquisition, processing, and the 3D printing will also come into picture. Right? That is why there are close to 4 companies in that particular area. So these are the different area of focus for different companies. Maybe the one of these aspects might be on patient monitoring or any one of these techniques which we have discussed till now, right? And you can see most of the companies were founded more recently, right? As recent as 2013. Maybe after this pandemic situation, you will have a lot of other companies which will come into picture. Like if we have a product, whatever I talked this down, if we have this product, maybe even our company might be here, right, with your help, right? So if you are going by topic, this is the research area. If you are going by industrial trends, you can either focus on the portable scanning machines. You can work on 3D printing, image acquisition, and 3D printing of the organ or the bone structures. If you are interested in telemedicine, so we can acquire the image of any particular organ. Depending upon that, the doctor can suggest the medicines, that is telemedicine, right, from the remote location, right, not going to the doctor and performing the scan and then giving the medications. Instead of that, we can wear a belt and that can scan these, for example, can scan the stomach and tell the doctor where what is the result. Everything can happen from remote location, so that is telemedicine. So that is there. Then we have fast acquisition systems, visualization using AR, VR. So these are the different trends which you can focus on. Now, I'll just deep dive into one of these, two of these hardware requirements. That is VLSI and power supply. So as far as VLSI is concerned, there are many sub-components which we can work on, design different VLSI, improve the VLSI structures, right? So we can work on the memory, either RAM or ROM of the processing system. We can work on the analog to digital conversion. We can work on the data processing, that is the image and signal processing. We can also work on the data alignment, that is to do with the other advanced algorithms, right? So we can, so in general, we can work on the data acquisition, we can work on data consolidation, we can work on data processing, and of course, we can also work on video output or audio. So video or audio signals. So in any way, we need to design efficient systems or efficient PCB boards or RF boards which can detect and process all these data. So that's where the challenges of VLSI and RF will come into picture. So we need to design efficient systems. I'm not going deep into that. What are those efficient systems? Maybe when we have time, we can talk about it. Maybe in the next seminar also, right? So, or if you have doubts, you can anyway contact me. So these are the different systems which we can work on, and of course, we can also work on the host computer or the host system, in their microprocessor and microcontroller and their algorithm. So these are different blocks in the image acquisition and processing system of the medical imaging hardware requirement. The topic for the day. So, and as I told, we can also work on the power supply. So power supply is very, very important as far as medical imaging is concerned, because even a small noise coming out of the power supply for the detector or the hardware can mean a different result for the detector. Right? The detector it might detect that noise as a malfunction in the organ, right? So just imagine a patient going for cancer detection, right? And there is some noise or some filtering noise or a noise from the power supply, harmonics from the power supply, which gets coupled to the RF source, right? And the detector detects that RF signal, right? Which was actually a noise. So now the detector will think that that RF noise was from, or the reflection was from the organ, right? And it will tell the software, this processor, that this is the area in the image where there was a noise or the RF signal, and the algorithm will detect it as a deficiency or a cancer cell. Okay. But in reality, the patient did not have cancer, right? So maybe this is a very, very vague example, but this is how dangerous or important power supply is for the hardware. So we should take care of designing the power systems and isolating the power systems from the actual test hardware of the test equipments, right? So we should make sure that within the FPGA or the processors, there is no unwanted noise that is generated in the maybe preamplifier or low noise amplifiers or the filtering mechanisms, or even in the adjacent uh, scanning sources, right? As you can see here, there are two different scanners. The circle structure you saw there, right? So each one of maybe I'll show you that. Wait. With that, I'll finish. Don't worry. Right. So the this circle, right? So each one of these circle structure, there is a source there. So each one of those source should not generate a noise. Yeah, you can see it here. Yeah. So each one of the source should not generate noise, so that it can be added to the other sources, and the detector detects all these noises as a deficiency in the patient's body. Right. I'll just go back. Sorry. So that's how important power supplies are for the medical equipment for hardware for the imaging systems. Right. So here we should take care of the electromagnetic noise that is generated between the RF sources or the RF coils in the scanner. We should take care of the power supply noise, as I just told. The noises from the source or the oscillators which generate the required RF signal. We can have noises generated in the operational amplifiers or the pre-amplifiers in the detectors. There we need to decrease the noise, right? So there might be noise in the EDC. There might be noise generated in the digital signal processing or image acquisition or processing systems, or those FPGA boards. Like, there can be noise in coming out from the packaging of the entire hardware, right? It might not be grounded properly. So in that case, in any case, power supply grounding is a very important research area as far as uh, medical equipment is concerned. This is one area which will never get saturated, and which can never end a dead end. Right? There are a lot of possibilities how we can decrease the noises generated in these different uh, subparts of the hardware, which we can take up as an area of research. Right. So we can take up any one of these circuits and we can study their interference or the noise generation, and we can propose a noise reduction mechanism for that particular hardware. Right. So these are the different research areas. So like use of the RF signals, use of the algorithms for image acquisition system, use of AI, use of or the design of AR VR hardware, the augmented reality or virtual reality hardware, design of the CAD tools required to study the uh, organ or the body parts, power supply design, as we just discussed, or the VLSI based design approach. Maybe we can include RF also here, the RF boards like power amplifiers, sorry, pre-amplifiers or operational amplifiers. That also is again our research area. So we just in this session, yeah, I'm on right on time. So in this session, today's session, we just talked about the different trends of the medical imaging systems. We talked about what we are doing at Tesla Mines and what are the different research areas as far as medical imaging processing is concerned. Right. The most of the time I just talked about the hardware aspect only, because that's what I know much better. That I leave the algorithm side or the processing side of the medical image acquisition hardware to the professors who are going to handle the upcoming sessions, or those who have handled before me, right? Maybe they can give you a much better idea. But my aspect was to introduce you to the industrial aspect of the medical imaging industry, and what we as an industry are working on, and where you can join with us, or I can join with your research, and we can create a patent and a product out of it. Right. So if any one of these slides interested you, or if you want to work either as an individual or as an organization, company or institution, you can contact me. We can work on these products together, or we can have an MOU like structure where we can exchange the rules of who controls the rights for the product, right? Similar kind of MOUs where we can work on the product efficiently, and we can bring these products to market, right? So if anyone is interested in working with us, you can either contact me you can message me or WhatsApp me. We can find a suitable time and we can talk. Because if you know me in this session, I mostly talk in sessions like this, or I travel around. So it is better we fix a time and then we call and talk to each other. So you can send me a message or WhatsApp message, or you can directly send me an email for your requirement. Right. So I'm open to collaborations with all of you, and this is what I wanted to convey in this session. So thank you for listening patiently. Hope this session inspired you to take up medical imaging hardware circuit modeling. Right. Thank you, participants, and I'll thank you to the organizers also. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful session. It was really very informative. There are few queries in the chat box. We can just answer the few queries and we can end the session.
Yes, sir.
Through 3D MRI image can detect the brain tumor, sir.
Sorry, sir. 3D MRI image.
Is it possible to detect brain tumor?
Brain tumor, yes, we can do, but that requires both hardware and software design, right? We cannot design only the hardware and work on it. If we are working on an integrated approach, yes, we can do that, sir.
Okay, so what is the difference between augmented reality and virtual reality?
Yes, so maybe I can show you that image, just a second. So in augmented reality, as we understand, augment means we are adding something, right? So in this operation theater, for example, we are adding an image of the heart. So we are adding, so augmented reality. But in case of virtual, so that is augmented reality. We create a 3D hologram image of the required object, right? In this case, the augmented reality creates a heart image, the real-time heart image in for the doctors. But virtual reality, what it means is, it is like a smart glass, right? So instead of watching the video in the maybe a distance apart, a screen, a television distance apart, using virtual reality, what will happen is the doctor can directly go inside the organ or inside the body of the patient, and that video can be viewed in the glasses. So it's like the doctor is directly on the organ directly. So this is not like placing a camera in the inside the body. It is purely based upon the imaging process outside the body, and in virtual reality it's virtual, right? So I'm talking to you virtually without being there. I'm talking to you like that. Without being there inside the body, the doctor can feel that he is actually viewing the organ from close quarters. So that is the difference between the augmented reality, which creates a hologram image, and the virtual reality, which is the doctor feels that he or she is near the organ or inside the organ.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable
Sir, one, sir, I have a doubt, sir.
Yes, sir.
just
Yes,
a moment, ma'am.
I have a doubt.
As a token of appreciation, please do accept this honorarium. Since it is being virtual, I'm just sharing my screen.
Yeah, please share, sir. Yeah, I'll just stop.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable presence. Post this, the questions will be answered, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable presence. I hope all the participants would have had a different approach how the hardware perspective of medical imaging can be done. Thank you for accepting our invitation and being present here on behalf of Panimula Institute of Technology. I thank you once again.
Thank you.
For
Thank you,
the
sir.
wonderful session, sir.
Sir.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, you can ask your query now, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
ma'am.
Sir, in augmented reality, actually the doctor is performing the surgery, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Your voice is breaking, ma'am. I'm not able to hear you clearly. Sorry. I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear you.
Audible, sir?
Sorry.
Hello?
Yes, now.
Is it audible now, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Is it audible, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You're audible.
Hello?
Ma'am, you're audible.
Yeah, okay. So in the augmented reality, in we are said, by using the augmented reality, the doctor can perform the operations of like heart and like that, sir. So how
Yes.
it can be at this time, whether it is happening, sir, that type of surgery?
Yes, ma'am. So as of now, in China, maybe I can share that link to the organizers. They can share that video link. So as of now, in China,
Okay.
what they have demonstrated is
Oh,
using 5G technology or 5G communication,
okay.
the doctor can perform an operation from
Oh,
50 kilometers apart. So in the operation theater, there would be a robot, right? In the apart in the remote
okay.
location,
Oh,
the doctor will wear a
okay.
augmented reality glass, sorry, VR glass,
Okay.
and the doctor can perform
Oh,
the operation.
okay.
The
That
distance
means
is,
that when the doctor is performing the operation, means the robot here is doing everything. Isn't it, sir?
yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's
No,
my
that is the
doubt actually.
demonstrated. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Actually, then what is about the virtual reality, sir?
Yes, ma'am. That's what. So virtual reality and augmented reality will work together as far as imaging is concerned. So virtual reality is like going inside the body of the patient or staying near
Okay.
to the patient. But augmented reality is the same doctor. If he used augmented reality, the image of the patient would have
Oh,
been exposed to him 50 kilometers. If the doctor is in a remote location, before the doctor, just like
okay.
how we see in the movies, Indian movie, the
Oh,
image of the patient would be exposed in before him. Right. In that case, using the electrodes or the different mechanisms, if the doctor
okay.
places a hand on that hologramic image, in that operation theater,
Okay.
there would be a robotic arm. So that is the difference here. So
Okay,
in
sir.
virtual reality,
Thank you.
there is
Thank you
not
so
a,
much.
in virtual reality, there is no hologramic image.
Ah.
Yeah.
So, suppose you are performing using virtual reality and operation is performing, so what would be the next result, sir?
And what will be the,
So, if you have the augmented reality we are using to use to perform a surgery, okay, what about the
yes?
virtual reality, sir? The operation
both
can be
both I can
performed.
both I can use, ma'am. So that is the difference.
Okay.
If you want to see the patient entire the whole patient's body in the remote location, we can go for virtual reality, or if you are, sorry, augmented
Okay.
reality. If you want to see only the
Okay.
organ, or if you want to perform the operation, we can just wear the glass and directly perform the operation.
Okay. Okay. Ah, thank you.
Yeah,
Understood, sir. Thank you, sir.
yeah,
Thank you
yeah,
so
yeah.
much your valuable presentation, and I like the whatever the ideas you have performed for the research areas. It's very helpful to others. Undergoing the research also. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Uh,
thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Sir, excuse me, sir. One more clarification I need on this augmented reality. Okay, about the patient you are saying doing operation in the that is a distance mode. It's fine, sir. So what about the way how it could be communicated, sir? That is, should it be synchronized? Without synchronization, it is not possible. So our activities to be synchronized with that robot, no?
Yes. So that's why we talk about 5G, ma'am. So when we talk about 5G, we immediately talk about faster data access, faster data information exchange, right? So that's where using 3G or 4G, we cannot do that this particular operation, right? In that case, we need to have at least 5G or 6G to perform that operation. Maybe that is maturing now. Maybe I can share that video in the coming to the
So
organizer. You can
here,
share.
in the place of the doctor, he'll be doing the things on the virtual image, actually, which is
Yes,
present on
yes.
the screen.
Exactly, ma'am.
Whatever.
Exactly.
Okay, sir. Outside thing, it could be possible. Internally, that internal portion also will be exposed to him for the doctor.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, oh.
Yeah. So that's what. So the internal organs can be imaged using any one type of the image acquisition or any one type of scan methods. So with that, the doctor can perform the operation.
Sir, is it possible of touching that minute portion of that organs by that robot, sir? So for any some designated robots to be designed for doing such operations.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, and in fact, researchers find that robots are much more efficient than humans. But when we talk about emergency situations, like what happens when the robot malfunctions, that is the only danger of using robots. But if the robot is perfectly designed using all these different
But
algorithms,
actually, sorry for interrupting, sir, but
no
out
problem.
of curiosity, so
Yes,
many days we are hearing about that mixing of this augmented reality with virtual reality called as a mixed reality. In terms of mixed reality, it is coming nowadays.
yes, ma'am.
So my doubt is, in the place of theater, that is in the destination side, where
Hmm.
operation is happening, that is really the presence of a doctor it's not compulsory. It is not mandatory.
Yes,
So there is no doctor, only in the place
remote
where
location.
he guiding only remote location. Oh,
Yes,
is
and
it?
when we can couple with artificial intelligence, the
Huh.
remote doctor will not even be needed in future.
Oh, for
Yes,
the
yes.
doctor's place we are replacing.
Yes, ma'am. Maybe that is too far away as of now, but
Huh.
that will be the end result where we are going now.
That is what's even Google. So many updates are coming for like even in the map. So many updates they are introducing. Why not? This is possible. Definitely, very soon we can expect it, sir.
Exactly.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Wonderful presentation, sir. Really, it's
Thanks a lot.
nice, nice, sir. Nice. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, sir. One question from my side.
Yes,
Am
ma'am.
I audible to you, sir? Sir, you
Yes.
have told us that how we can implement the augmented reality and virtual reality within the healthcare field. My question is that suppose the doctor is in the remote place and he is just providing the instruction to the robots by showing the internal organs and by visualizing the health or patient's health systems, right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so sir, so whatever the instruction given by the doctor, the robots has to follow those ones, or it will be like that. Ki doctors can be perform the operation by. I mean to say that as the doctor, the healthcare person is in the remote place, it will only give the commands to the robots, right, sir?
No, ma'am.
Any decision and
Slightly
commands.
different. If it is a command, it's just a robot. But when you talk about uh, virtual reality and augmented reality, it's everything is real time. For example, the doctor will be wearing something like a smart gloves which has the
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I want to ask. Sorry to interrupt you. My main concern is about that. I think that the doctor will wear some kind of gloves or
yes,
some kind
yes,
of you can set artificial hands, and it will
yes,
do the operation according to that. The robots will be
yes,
work
yes. So it will be
up
a,
to
something like a haptic response. So whatever,
yes,
whenever the doctor moves his fingers or his hands, the
yes,
robotic
sir.
arm will move.
Move. Yes, sir. Right,
Yeah.
right, right. That is the things.
And
That is
so
called the virtual reality actually.
yeah.
Virtual.
So that's where the 5G communications will help. As soon as the
Yes.
doctor moves his or her hand, the robot should move immediately without any delay. So as
Yes.
of now, the delay is 30 microseconds as of today.
Okay.
Yeah, that is that delay in the movement of the robotic arm.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Yeah,
According to that. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so
yeah.
much.
I'll share a video to the organizers. Maybe they can share that in the next presentation. So there
It
you
will
can
be.
see a doctor performing an operation from a remote location in China.
Okay, sir.
Sir,
Okay.
having a
Thank.
plan of introducing this augmented reality even in our education side also.
Okay. You are
Yes.
asking me or you are telling your idea, ma'am?
No, 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 sir.
Yes,
I'm
we can do
asking
that.
that. So this is what. So even our government is thinking about. This is what I heard recently. They are permitting project on that this thing also.
Yes.
That is a technology they are introducing. So many technologies for education
So
foundation. If they introduce now, it will replace like system replacing doctors. System will replace teachers also in future.
definitely, ma'am.
Sir, one more question is that although we are just repeating, we are just inventing much more devices, robots, and these kind of things, or these kind of things. So they are. We can say that they are reducing the jobs, or they are just enhancing to think something new from
Yeah.
the.
See, ma'am. So I'll just compare this whatever you are talking to other industry. So we have the autonomous car industry, ma'am. So which is a driverless car, which was proposed maybe long back, but still that is not maturing enough. Or we are not. If an autonomous car comes to India, definitely we are not going to purchase the autonomous car. So there is at least 20 or 25 years still before the technology can mature. So after that, if we have to see whether we have a new skill which the teachers or the engineers can learn and help those systems to perform. So as of now, there is no danger, but at least after 30 years, there would be a danger where there would be augmented reality teachers. The teachers need to, or the engineers need to train the robots or to train the algorithm to teach the students. But anyway, just like autonomous cars, that would not be a widely acceptable technology. Not all the hospitals will go for robots. Only few hospitals who want to take a risk with the patient and a risk with the reputation will go for the augmented and virtual reality application. But it is there, it is going to come, but not at least for 20 or 25 years from now on.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Your session is very much informative for us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
So good afternoon, sir. I just had a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm working with retinal imaging, sir. And I just wanted to know if you had any suggestions regarding the fundus imaging. Like you're using the fundus camera for the images,
Okay.
right? So from a hardware point of view, how can I work with an improvement in those images? Like any suggestions?
Ma'am, I'll be very frank with you. I'm not familiar with that imaging system. But
Okay.
what I can do is I can study. I can take 2 days. I can study and take.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just share your email ID to my contact or to my email. Just
Okay.
drop me a test mail. I'll just tell you about that.
Okay, sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Not
Definitely.
just give you half answers. So I'll give you the exact answer.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
My email ID is there in the chat box. You can just drop me a text.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Is that the tsmwingz@gmail.com?
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Yes, sir. So just now you explained that you are working on wearable devices and designing antenna. So hello. I have done few of the
Yes, ma'am.
projects in the antenna, but see, everybody is designing the antenna. Just you are the decision maker for your company. So I just want to suggest you, when you are making that wearable antenna, just use the organic material, organic electronics, that is organic antenna. So the product will be more useful to the society, as uh, I just feel that I should convey you that please try to work on that. Because see, even I am using
Sure.
that watch, but sometimes it like it is itching on the skin because of the plastic belt. So just keep in mind that few people, their body reacts to the plastic.
Yes.
So
Yes.
when you are designing that antenna, I will be in touch with you. So I'm working in Sardar Patel Institute of Technology, Andheri, and I am research scholar from
Okay.
VJTI Matumla. So I will be
Okay.
happy to work on the project with you.
Sure.
Thank you so
Sure.
much. And
Sure.
one more thing I wish to, I'm working on MRI actually in my research.
Oh,
So
okay.
in that also, regarding that also, I will be in touch with you, sir. Thank you very
Sure.
much.
Sure.
Your presentation was flawless, and so many
Okay.
things even I learned from your projects and descriptions. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Thank you all. Thank you once again on behalf of Panimula Institute of Technology. Thank you, sir, for your valuable presence. We will end the session now so that the participants can join the next session by 2 p.m. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, and thank you, participants.
Sure, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.